We were respected 4 years ago. We were respected. Viktor Orban, he's the head of Prime Minister of Hungary. He said, the only thing wrong with the world today is Trump isn't president, because if he was president, there'd be no conflict whatsoever. You know, I had no conflict. He's a tough guy, but he understood that. If Kamala is reelected, one of her very first acts will be to massively raise taxes for the American family. You know, her bill raises taxes. Whereas my idea is not an idea, it's going to be a fact, is to lower. I gave you the biggest tax cut in history, and we're going lower, because we're going to rely on so many other things. Today, socialist Bernie Sanders is out on the trail campaigning for her because Kamala is known as the taxman. Do you know that she is considered to be far left of Bernie Sanders? Now, Bernie, we know, he's crazy. It's crazy, Bernie. He got screwed twice, actually. He ran twice, looked like he won. And you know, he's a good sport, though. He acts like nothing happened. First it was Hillary, then it was this one, right? It was Joe. Sleepy Joe beat him. But we have a little video. You know, I only do this for people when I like people. I do the videos. Otherwise, they're too expensive. So let's go ahead.
Significantly raise taxes. Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tax, or Social Security.
This message.
She wants to raise taxes. And she's going to raise it versus this. You know what?
I'm going to
pay for
try
the
to sneak
green
by.
scam. Everybody out of business. Our companies will be forced to do things that companies in China and other places in the world aren't forced to do. I used to watch this guy Kerry get into his plane and fly over to China and meet with them and say, we don't want you to use coal anymore. It's, oh yes. Then he leaves and that's the end of that. They don't do a thing. They say, what a stupid country that is. For years, Americans have watched as our country has been stripped of our jobs. By the way, this state, more than any other, you lost 60% of your automobile business over the years. And you know, a lot of it went to China, but a lot of it is currently going to Mexico. And China owns it, but it's going to Mexico. They think they're going to make cars. They're going to make cars and sell them into the United States with no tax. And that will destroy. It won't happen. It won't happen, and I'll tell you why in just a couple of minutes if you don't mind waiting. But it won't happen. They want to strip us of our wealth, and you've seen our companies being sold off to foreign countries all the time. And how about U.S. Steel? I'm not going to let them sell U.S. Steel. I don't care, even if it's maybe good. But this was the most important 65, 70 years ago. U.S. Steel was the most important company in the world. Now Japan wants to buy it. I would not let that happen. I hope it doesn't go through before I get there, because if I get there and it's not done, we're not letting that, we'll help it get along, but we're not letting them buy U.S. Steel. But with my plan for the American economy, this will stop immediately all of this nonsense that they're doing, all of the hurt they're inflicting upon us. And we will begin to take other countries' jobs and factories, bringing businesses and trillions of dollars back to the United States of America. In other words, for the first time in 7 years, although I will say we started that process for 4 years, we started it, we had it going good, and then we had to fight the COVID stuff, and we did that really well. We never got the kind of credit we got for the economy and for the military, because we defeated ISIS very quickly. ISIS was supposed to take 5 years, and it took us about a month, which tells you when you find the right ones, we have a great military, but I rebuilt the entire military. Under my plan, American workers will no longer be worried about losing their jobs to foreign nations. Instead, foreign nations will be worried about losing their jobs to America. We're bringing German car companies can become American car companies. In other words, what I'm saying is they've got to build their plants in America with you people operating it. We can beat China in electronic production. We will, too, using a very similar form, actually a better formula than they have. Manufacturers that have left us will come sprinting back to our shores. Here's the deal that I will be offering to companies and manufacturers all around the planet. We're going to be going after their companies for the first time ever. They've been ripping us off for years, but that's not going to happen anymore. The United States will give you the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs, the lowest regulatory burdens, and free access to the best and biggest market on the planet Earth, but only if they make their products here in America and hire American workers. That's the whole thing. And if these companies don't take the deal, if they say no, then they're going to have to pay tariffs to come into our country. They're going to have to pay tariffs. And they want to come into our country, they're going to have to pay. And they're not going to send their products made in another country to us, and we have to eat their products. They're produced by other labor, and their labor, we're not going to take it. We will use the hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs to benefit the American citizens. We're not going to let happen what's happened for so many years. The new American industrialism that we created, it's going to be something, the industry will be beyond anything you've ever seen in this country. We'll create millions and millions of new jobs, massively raise wages for American workers, and make the United States a manufacturing powerhouse once again. So what we're doing, so we're lowering the tax rate for the middle class, for everybody. But we're bringing the small business tax and the business tax down. We got it from 39% to 21%, got it approved by Congress. Everyone said that was impossible to do. Got it approved by Congress. Nobody thought it was possible. Now I'm bringing it from 21 all the way down to 15. So we'll now have the most, at 21, we were highly competitive. At 15, we're one of the most competitive in the world because we want to bring companies to this country, right? She wants to raise the tax for everybody so they all leave and they go your jobs. Think of it. By contrast, Kamala, known as the taxing queen back in San Francisco, is demanding a 33% tax hike on all domestic production. In addition, she wants the largest capital gains tax in the history of our country, and maybe the history of the world. She even plans a tax of unrealized capital gains. So she wants a tax on unrealized capital gains. So if you don't sell your stock or your company, or you have to go out, and some companies don't make money, but they're very valuable companies. They'll have to go out and beg, borrow, and steal to pay tax. This is a communist tax, it's called. And it's never used. Nobody's ever even heard of using it. But it's no good, and it's something that we're not going to let happen because we will be driven into a depression the likes of which we probably only seen in 1929. Kamala Harris already cost the average family $29,000 with her rampant inflation, and now she's coming back for more. So we're not going to let that happen. Her plan would raise taxes by $4.1 trillion, hiking the typical family's taxes by, congratulations, $2,600 a year, reducing GDP because people won't do business here. They're going to all leave. Our companies are going to leave. You know, got to remember, these companies are smart, and they have people, they love the country, or in some cases they don't. Some cases they're run by people that aren't from our country, but they always look for the best deal. And they go to Europe, and they go to the medical industry, went to Ireland largely. They go to the country that offers them the best deal. They go to China. China loves to have them. But it's going to be reducing GDP by 2%, lowering wages by 1.2%, and killing off almost 1 million full-time jobs. That's her thing. It's easy. Harris is right now shutting down power plants and Browns because they don't have enough electricity. So they have to figure that one out. But it's driving us into a third world status by attacking the entire fossil fuel industry, which is, unfortunately, that's the industry. If you want to fire up your big plants, you're not going to do it through wind. The wind isn't blowing, darling. Let's turn on the television. Let's try it anyway. I want to see President Trump make a speech tonight. No, darling, the wind isn't blowing. We haven't had your stuff. If Kamala Harris, I mean, think of this, for America, if you ship production overseas, she will give you a tax break. In other words, her tax break, this is her plan. It's a plan for stupid people. Her tax break is that you'll get a tax break if you ship your product overseas. No, it's supposed to be the opposite. With her tie-breaking vote on what I call the Inflation Creation Act, supposed to call the Inflation Reduction Act, remember? And they admitted it was a scam. It's not a name because it had nothing to do with inflation except raising it. It was really a way of getting money for the Green New Scam. So they actually admitted the Inflation Reduction Act was a scam. But I call it the Inflation Creation Act. I actually like the way that sounds pretty good. She is going to create tremendous inflation. She's sending billions of dollars to Chinese battery factories, Chinese solar factories, and Chinese electronics factories. And we don't have to send anything. All we have to do is make it expensive for them to send their product into the United States. And they will end up building, or somebody else will, those plants in the United States. In other words, tariffs to me are the most beautiful word. Other than my chart, I love that chart. Other than my chart, it's one of those beautiful things. It's going to make our country rich. Unfortunately, we have a lot of stupid politicians in Washington. They don't like it. It's actually they're learning though. They're figuring it out. It'll make our country rich again. Our country right now owes $36 trillion. It's going to make us very rich very fast, and the rest of the world will be living with it, and they'll be fine, and we'll help people out too. But it's time that we took care of ourselves. It's time we put America first. We got to put America. And it's no wonder that under Kamala Harris, we lost 25,000 manufacturing jobs in August. You know that, right? That was the last reporting period. We lost 24,000 jobs. Manufacturing jobs, good jobs. But this horrific nightmare for American workers ends the day I take the oath of office. It ends.